Hi everyone, it's Jai452 back again inside the land of cosplay, rummaging around and see what we can find on Inside Cosplay. Joining me this week is my very special guest, the one and only Frank. Hi Frank.
Hi. Hello, Frank Coraci here.
How are you today?
Not too bad. How are you doing?
Absolutely freezing. We had a tiny bit of snow last night, but I think you guys have got us beat because you were telling me just off camera there that you guys are getting a lot more snow than us.
Yeah, about 15 centimeters. It's still coming down behind me, so that's pretty bad.
That's terrible.
We're
we
used to it.
We had snow yesterday, but it wasn't like massive amounts. It was just nice enough to sit on the ground and then melt halfway through the day. So we were like, eh.
Nice. Wish I was in Florida.
But we're not here to talk about various weather phenomena. We're here to talk about cosplay.
Yes.
So we're just going to jump right into this, and I'm going to ask you, Frank, when did you first start cosplaying?
I first started maybe a year and a half ago. I didn't even know what it was, to be honest with you. And then I just kind of got serious about it maybe a year ago. Yeah, I still didn't know what it was or making costumes or anything. It was just kind of, I thought people dressing up, acting like a bunch of big kids. I thought, wow, that's for me. That sounds like fun. I'm in, you know. So yeah, I just started by accident, to be honest. So.
Do you remember what your first cosplay was?
Actually, yeah, it was. To be honest, it was just a Punisher T-shirt and a gun. That was it, and I posted it, and people responded, and that's what I got. You know, that's what I got into it. Just a plain T-shirt. It wasn't like a vest like this or anything. So, yeah, he's my favorite character. So,
I remember doing my first cosplay, and it's one that I still have to this day. And people do go nuts for certain types of characters. Like you're mentioning, your first character was the Punisher from Marvel Comics. Mine was a gender bent Harley Quinn.
Oh, nice,
And
yeah.
I can't describe what it's like, but when you get those types of comic book characters that do have their own following, people just go nuts. Like, they go insane. They're like, oh my god, you're Harley! Oh my god!
Yeah, they're characters that people like. They love them. You know, have a bit of an edge to them, right? So.
Like, I've been wanting to do other cosplays, and everybody's always saying to me, so what version of Harley are you doing? And I'm like, I wasn't going to do Harley. I was going to do a different cosplay altogether, but I guess I could work on a Harley.
Yeah. Well, you get bored, right? You want to do other things.
Right? You do. But it's good that we do have those ones that kind of slightly define who we are as cosplayers.
Yeah.
So, who or what inspired you to get into cosplay?
It wasn't really who, or maybe it was just more the challenge and the fun and the fact that I didn't know what it was, and it was an extension of meeting new people. I've met so many people I would have never met. I mean, all over the world, at Comic-Cons, which I've never been to until recent, you know, until, like I said, a year ago, things I never would have did. So just meeting great people and hanging out, and I'm constantly meeting new people as yourself. You know, so it was like a branch to just extend to people with the same interests. It was, you know, that like I said, I would have never did before. I would just watch TV or play video games where, you know, this is a lot more fun, you know, and still fun, you know, and creativity involved, you know, and all this stuff, and the challenge, and I guess that's about it, you know, and of course the characters, you know, I'm a huge cinephile. I like movies. So when I see them on the television, I want to, you know, mimic them like a kid. So I saw the Punisher, or I see, you know, whatever, Black Panther, or whatever character, Thanos. I get so involved, right? So.
Is there any particular cosplayer that you follow on Instagram or Facebook that you tend to think, oh, that piece that person did, say maybe a week ago or a month ago, and you're like, oh, I'd really love to know how they do that, or just generally somebody that maybe it does inspire you?
One was Cosplay Chris, I guess, because
the Australian.
One reason was because he's male, and it seems like the male market is not as dominant, and I wanted to be part of that, just like him. Is like, hey, you know what? We cosplay too. you know, we should be on the forefront as well. You know, the women do an awesome job, you know, and, you know, we're all people. We just, you know, we all do cosplay, but I found that it's, you know, entirely female dominated. So when I saw him, I said, hey, you know, there's some hope there, you know, and he did a Captain Boomerang, which I liked, and I did one as well. So that's what kind of, you know, he inspired me. He did such a great job that he looked exactly like the character. So he's kind of freaky like that. So.
It's so funny that you should say that, because my cosplay partner in crime does Captain Boomerang as well.
Yep,
And he does the Suicide Squad version of him.
Yep,
and I
that's
remember he sent me through a picture, because I don't get to go to as many cons as my cosplay partner in crime does. And he sent me through a picture, and I'm looking at it and I'm going, oh my god, you're kind of like Jai Courtney in this picture. And then he sent me through something again, and I think it was through like an Instagram post that he did of that same picture. And Jai Courtney actually put a little heart on it. And I was like, get the F out, you know, like, seriously, get the F out. And then,
that's what...
do you know the scary thing? You know, the exact scary thing? After he sent me that picture, I was like flicking through my Instagram, and I follow the Cosplay Chris guy that you're on about, and he had also done a Captain Boomerang that day, and I'm like, I'm surrounded by boomerangs. I can't even, like, if I threw them away, there's no point. They just come back.
Yeah.
So,
that's awesome.
It was so scary, because he had 3 guys who have no connection whatsoever to each other, and they all look the same.
That's amazing.
I was just like, that is just too scary for me. Too scary. Obviously, Cosplay Chris does still cosplay to this day. Is there any other cosplayers that you either used to follow or still kind of do follow that are not doing cosplay as much anymore that inspired you?
I can't think of any, to be honest with you, that don't do it anymore. The ones I do follow, like I said, they're still continuing to do it, thank God. I can't recall any. I do follow a lot as well. I follow other cosplayers. Some just do it for fun. Some do it for, you know, the contests or whatnot. But yeah, I hope not, because, you know, you don't want people to get tired of it. I mean, it happens, but, you know, or maybe they branch out to other things. But yeah, no, I can't think of one. Sorry for that answer. But
That's fine. So moving on, what has been the most challenging cosplay that you've done to date, both from the making of the costume and from the acting side? Because there is a little bit of acting involved in cosplay, whether it's how a character talks, how they move, how they might pose, how they interact with the general public, or how they even move with their props, because, you know, props are a thing in cosplay. Let's talk about the costume making side. To date, who or what has been the most challenging cosplay for you?
Well, I can tell you what I considered fails, I guess, or whatnot. Like, I tried, and that's the thing. I just try. Whatever. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I tried to do Cable about a year ago. That didn't work out. I didn't even know how to act like him because there was no movie out yet. Yeah, that one turned out kind of a disaster. I kind of rushed it for Comic-Con. And I never did it again. I just kind of threw it in the... I think I switched that costume to something else, to be honest with you. I turned it into a Deathstroke, the vest. I scrapped the whole idea. So I try to do characters I look like. So,
I think Cable would be one of the more difficult ones, and I can understand why, because there really isn't an awful lot to go on. Like, in terms of how he might move or how he might sound, the only thing you've really got to go on is a handful of video games that he's in. Like 1 or 2 really, really old ones. Or,
like I found that was the hard, but Bane was easy for me. He's a big guy. I can do the voice, you know, like, darkness is your ally. You know, I can do the voice easy. I walk like him. I'm big, like I can watch the movie and just mimic his mannerisms. But Cable, I might try again now that Deadpool's coming.
there's only one thing other than a handful of video games that he's in that I can think of that would help you there, and that's the 1990s. Is it the 1990s? Yeah, the 1990s animated X-Men cartoon.
Yeah. Right.
And the worst of it is, he's only in a handful of episodes there as well, and he's not prominently featured within the episode, so it's like,
Yeah, no, that was...
You
Yeah,
really
like I
need
said,
to turn to the comic books for that.
Yeah. The new Deadpool's coming out, so I might try the new version, the Josh Brolin version, right? So we'll see.
Definitely.
We'll see.
So we talked a little bit there about the costume side, and obviously Cable being a kind of awkward one. Who's been the most challenging from the acting standpoint? Are we going with Cable again, or has there been somebody more challenging than Cable?
Challenging as far as acting. I would have to say Thanos was one, because again, you're going on the cartoon. I put on the costume. I tried to walk like, I don't know, what I made stuff up or whatever, but yeah, Thanos was a tough one. Or getting the voice down from the movie, from whatever little clips there was out. Oh, fine, I'll do it myself. That's the only line I had. So I just kept doing that at a Comic-Con and raising my fist. I didn't have any other go-to, so the whole Comic-Con I just kept doing. So every picture was me going like this with the gauntlet on, and then I didn't know what else to do. And even photographers were like, try something else. And I'm like, well, I don't know what else he does. Maybe he goes like this. I don't know. Yeah, that was a tough one. I don't know if I'll do that one again either.
So we spoke about some of the things that have been the most challenging. I'm going to flip that question out and say, what has been the easiest cosplay for you to do? Both from the acting side and the making of the costumes. Let's, again, since we started with the costume making last time, let's talk about acting this time. So who's been the most easy character for you to just slip into?
Like I said, Bane was the first one. That was my first con. I went as Bane, and I just started, I picked up his mannerisms, the way he walks. Like I said, I'm a big guy, so it wasn't very... I had the costume, I bought it, so it was my first, bought costume. I had the movie version, and the voice, are using darkness as your ally. So I could do the voice just on command, especially with the mask on. So that one was like, I can do him all day, you've lost yourself, Batman. I can come after you, or, whatever. I can take movie quotes, To be honest with you, I was quoting the whole movie. I'm kind of rusty now, but at a Comic-Con, I watched it the night before, and that's all I did was just spout out movie quotes, because that's what people ask. They'll say something at you, and I'll just, why are you here? I'll just spout it right back, and they go crazy. And that's the part of it too, when people's reaction are like, the fanboys go, yeah, and something like that. So that was
I'm just
really
gonna literally say what I do, because obviously I do the same thing when I'm doing Harley for a con. I'll sit the night before and I'll watch anything with Harley Quinn in it.
Yeah, that's
just to listen to that voice so that I can get that kind of thing in my head.
Yeah.
And I normally have to travel to get to my con, and I have to travel maybe sometimes maybe a full hour and 30 minutes or something.
Wow, okay.
Which is it's a distance, which is again why I don't do many cons.
Yeah.
But ever since I started going to a con, I'd always had an internet phone, or a phone with internet capabilities. So generally, if you ever see me en route on the bus somewhere, I'm sitting there with my phone in my hands, and I'm going on YouTube, searching up whichever character it is I'm doing, and I'm listening to how the voice is done, watching how they move and how they kind of act. I remember the last con I did, I went as L from Death Note.
Oh, nice.
Very, very stupidly, I did not listen to how his voice is done the night before, because I knew, I've only got the anime for Death Note. I do have the live action movies, but it's Japanese spoken, so I don't speak Japanese, so I wouldn't have been able to portray a very convincing Japanese L.
That's dedication.
Yeah, it's not easy. So I was sitting on the bus and I'm like, oh my god, I'm going to be playing L in less than 30 minutes. I need to, figure out how he speaks, And the one scene I kept watching was when he and Light first meet and they're taking this test. And
Oh, okay.
he just kind of like turns to him at one point and says, I want you to know something. And then Light obviously has his piece of dialogue, and then he turns around and says, I want you to know that I'm L. And that was the only thing kicking in my head the entire time. So when I went up to do the actual cosplay competition,
Yeah.
you have your announcer, and she obviously is asking you who you are, and I just turned and said to her, I want you to know I'm L. And I held up a Death Note like how he does, like that got the biggest reaction ever.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
like,
exciting.
you had various other people there. You had a full mech suit Iron Man who, like, coincidentally, I must have still had a little bit of Harley in me that day. Because I said to him, as we're walking up the stairs, if you fall, don't expect me to break your fall. You know, because he's like,
Nice.
he was quite a big guy, and he's got this big
Yeah.
metal suit, and I'm a tiny little nothing. You know? And I'm like, I will not break your fall whatsoever.
Yeah.
Don't expect me to catch you if you fall backwards going up the stairs.
Yeah, you're gonna sideswipe. That's
Side swipe. I'm just gonna like leap over
just
him.
one.
Just leap over him like, "Nope, thank you. So, but that did get the biggest reaction, and I was really surprised because I thought Iron Man would have gotten a bigger reaction than I did.
Yeah.
It just goes to show all the people who were there that day were anime freaks. So
Yeah.
whatever.
That's good. Good.
So, what has been the easiest outfit again from the making of it?
The easiest outfit to make was probably the one I'm wearing now, which is from Netflix Punisher series. I just kind of threw it out and cut it out of foam and put it on a military vest, and then just kind of drew out a stencil with paint. Kind of lightly painted it and added some, other little stuff. But I mean, this was probably the easiest one, but I still love it because, like I said, the character.
Amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, the character is dear to me, especially the Netflix version of John Berthel. So this was the easiest one to finish.
Like, just, as a side question there, how long did this particular piece take for you to make?
Probably just a couple of days. Yeah, just a couple of days of cutting in and then painting and mounting it. Like I said, it was pretty quick. Yeah, it wasn't difficult. I mean, not that it's not challenging, but it was probably one of the first ones I've made. So kind of like start small and then work your way up, I guess. So.
Okay. My next question, very similar to the one that we've just kind of answered, but now we're going to put it in a slightly different way. We're going to apply it both to you and other people.
Okay.
So, in your opinion, what is the most challenging cosplay to make and at in regards to both yourself and other people? So actually I should re-say that question. In your opinion, what is the most difficult cosplay character or thing to make / act in regards to both yourself and to other people? So let's start with yourself. Who do you consider or what do you consider really challenging when it comes to making a cosplay at the moment?
The most challenging, like, do you want, like, personally or?
Yeah, personally to yourself first, like, in terms of making a costume, like, what is something that you would look at and go, I'm not sure how I would do that?
Yeah.
Like, I might need to learn a specific skill set for a while before I attempt that.
There's two I'm working on right now because there's not much to go on. One is the Hulkbuster from the Avengers. So I'm currently working on that one right now, and it's a big costume, so I'm having problems with sizing and safety as well. That's the other issue, getting into this big monster suit and walking around. The second is kind of the same thing as Reinhardt from Overwatch. Again, a big costume. As you notice, I like to do big things. It's challenging because, again, I have to freehand it. There's no templates to download or, everything is off, a little toy that I buy, and I work with that. So that's the hard part, is you're pretty much free cutting, going through foam or whatever, Warbler, and wasting some material, I guess, but that's part of it. Yeah, those are the two challenges. And again, acting, I mean, I don't know how I would act in the Hulkbuster, I guess, or I guess act like Tony Stark. And Reinhardt, that's another challenging one. I have to watch the video, play the game a little bit more, watch clips of him. And so that's going to be a little tough. But again, that's part of it, right? Is try something new,
Definitely.
new character. So, yeah, those two I think would be tough.
So let's flip this question now and say, in regards to other people, what would you consider something that is really, really challenging? Like, for instance, let's say I come to you and say, Frank, I'm looking to do a costume that is something I've never done before.
Right.
So everything that I've currently done is all kind of cloth-based materials, like I work with fabric.
Yeah.
Let's say I come to you and say, right, I want to do a Hulkbuster cosplay.
Right.
I've never worked with Warbler or anything like that before. Never.
Right.
How would you say to me, well, you might want to really think about that before you just jump right in there? Or would you advise me against it?
I wouldn't advise, no. I mean, I'm the kind of person, hey, try it. If it fails, who cares, right? Like, I mean, at the end of the day, whatever you have to show for it, go for it. You tried something. That's I'm still new to this too. I don't know what I'm doing. I tell people that. Half the time I don't know what I'm doing. I go by the Joker. I don't plan anything. I just do, right? Like if you plan it, it kind of freezes you up. I would say start off small and then maybe work up to that, because that's like I said, I don't know if I can even pull it off, to be honest. But who cares? Give it a try. If it works, it doesn't, keep trying or try something else. But yeah, no, I would maybe start off small. Like I said, I started off with something small and got the idea of cutting, and like, okay, this kind of was easy. Let me try something a little more difficult. I guess a little more difficult. But I mean, you might be naturally talented at doing it and just start off the bat and say, I can do this. This is easy. As you're building it, you might start off and say, this is easy. I could do this. So, I really don't have a definite answer, I guess. I would never discourage anybody. So whatever you do, yeah, do it. Who cares?
Definitely. And that's a very good piece to remember, guys. Like, cosplay is always about challenging yourself, whether it be to make something you've never done before or to do something you've never done before. Let's go with the same question again, except this time I come to you and say, right, Frank, I've done my Hulkbuster costume. It is ready to go, but I'm not quite sure how to act the character. Let's say the character is a complete 180 from what you know me as.
Right.
Let's say that it's a big, loud personality, and you know me as quite a timid and quiet person. How would you advise me to become this big, loud individual that I would need to do if I was doing this particular character? Like, you mentioned the Joker there, so let's go with the Joker because he's a loud personality.
Right.
How would you advise that if you know the person is quite timid and quiet? What would you advise them to do?
First, alcohol? No, I'm kidding.
That's great advice right here.
Yeah. I mean, some cosplayers, who smoke up before con. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do drugs, everyone. No alcohol either. Don't go to don't go drunk.
It's not an idea to go to a Comic-Con drunk.
No,
if there's an after party,
maybe.
As drunk as you want at that. That's what they're there for. That was
just a joke. That was me being.
If you're underage and you're not allowed alcohol, no.
Exactly. Don't drink. No negative comments either. No drinking.
No negativeness.
No. This is all humor. It was all just humor, just to make a laugh.
And if you don't believe us, ask the cat. The cat.
Yeah. There's no alcohol here. I go sober con. That's more fun. You get more high out of just meeting people. That's what I say. So, as far as the character goes, I would say first, like I said, I'm more of a cinephile than a comic guy. So I fall in love with movies. That's when I see the character and I watch it, and just like, you start to pick up their speech patterns, I guess. I mean, it's not that easy either. to be honest. Like, especially if you feel like you don't look like the character either. That makes it challenging as well. Like, I couldn't pull off a Joker, to be honest with you. But Punisher seemed a little easier, or like I said, Bane, bigger guys, or whatnot. So it's hard for me to do the Joker, but the Punisher, I can, even just growing the beard or shaving my head or whatnot, that's a lot easier getting character to look. But like I said, it's voice, I guess, speech patterns, I guess, is kind of difficult sometimes. Like, it's
I think with characters like the Joker and Harley, the biggest issue a lot of cosplayers come up to is the voice.
Yeah,
they try to do, like, and it's people around the same age that I always see this issue with. Anyone who's seen the Batman animated series automatically thinks that's how the Joker or Harley or Batman are supposed to sound.
Yeah.
And fair dues to them. A lot of the voice actors have gone on to do other, like, medias where their voices have been used for those characters. But not everybody can mimic Kevin Conroy or Mark Hamill or Tara Strong or Arlene Sorkin. Those people are specifically trained on how to change and manipulate their voice, so it is not easy. So one thing I would say is, sorry?
They're professionals. I mean,
exactly.
They're actors. So it's hard to they do for a living.
Yeah, and if some people are able to do that, more power to them. I actually know a few cosplayers who are trained on how to manipulate their voice.
Wow, amazing.
But if you're average Joe and you're trying to do a Mark Hamill impression and you can't quite get it down, don't feel bad. There are other Jokers out there. There's Jack Nicholson, there's Heath Ledger, there's Jared Leto, there's Cesar Romero. There's multiple other Jokers out there. There's multiple other facets of many different characters out there. So don't punish yourself if you can't get, like, an animated version's voice going. Because obviously we're human beings, we're not cartoons.
No, and if you just look like him, that's good enough sometimes. Exactly. Or if you want, pick an easy one like Dark Knight. Exactly. I'm not wearing monkey pads. Anyone could. That's the easiest one to go to. So I mean, start off with this one.
So moving along, we've spoken a little bit there about that. There are two types of Comic-Cons that we can go to throughout the year. There's the big ones, the year ones, the big flashy ones, like your New York Comic-Cons, your San Diego Comic-Cons. I don't know, insert another Comic-Con here kind of thing. Dragon Con, which seems to happen everywhere, I think. Over in the States. And then your smaller, more local cons, which happen almost every weekend in some parts of America, from what I'm told. Out of those two Comic-Cons, which do you prefer going to more? Do you like the big once-a-year ones, or the smaller, more local ones, or do you like a blend of the two?
To be truthful here, I like the big ones. I mean, we have one coming up soon, and that's why I'm making the Hulkbuster. I like that. Those are the ones that get me energized. I mean, there's so many people. Here we have Fan Expo. That's the biggest one in Toronto, and it's the amount of people that are there and the magnitude of the building. It'd take you 3 days to get through the whole thing. I like that, the spectacle, the excitement, the energy, meeting new people as well. I find the smaller ones is more for socializing with other cosplayers that you haven't seen for a long time, or more just kind of relaxed, I guess. But like I said, I prefer the big ones. They just seem to have more stuff, more to do, even if you just want to shop or whatnot. But yeah, I like the big ones. I get excited. To see what other people do too. So you see other people.
When it comes to the bigger versus small ones, what would you recommend to somebody who is going to their very first con? Would you recommend a big once-a-year one, or would you say maybe start off with a smaller, more local one?
Well, I know there's a few cosplayers that I didn't know this until I got into cosplaying that I know of that have also social anxieties as well. Mm-hmm. So I find that I didn't know this until I got into meeting these people. They're great people. Some of them are my friends. They have a problem with big crowds, I guess, and stuff like that. And the local cons, the smaller ones, you're not going to get a big crowd. It's just a few, toy vendors and comic vendors and stuff, and a few cosplayers. It's not packed and it's not overwhelming. Whereas, I mean, if you go to the Toronto one, it's crazy on the outside. Even Anime North here, there was more people in the parking lot than in the inside, and it's I don't know how many people are there, 500,000 or whatever it is. I'm exaggerating, obviously, but it's overwhelming with the amount of people that you can't even walk. So if you have a phobia, maybe start off with something small. You might enjoy that more. But I mean, if you just want to look at more things and have more fun, I find the bigger ones have more to do, more interesting things. The smaller ones, I mean, they can get boring fast. So I mean, you might be there for a couple hours, whereas the big ones, you could spend all day there. And there's still, you haven't seen everything. That's how,
Do you know the funny thing is the convention I went to where I was cosplaying as Elle was what is considered a small convention.
Right.
And I don't know what it was, maybe the fact that it was in 2 different rooms. I was literally going between both rooms, and then there was another part where they were doing a signing, which was in a completely different building, quite far off from where the 2 rooms were. So you'd have to come out the hall and then walk all the way along to this other half. And I felt there was more to do at that than one of the bigger cons I'd went to previously, where everything was just all kind of put together. But the bigger cons for me suffer from what I call a New York minute.
Oh, okay.
Where you only get, like, if you meet one of your friends, you only get, say, a couple of moments with them, and the conversation consists of, hello, how are you? Oh, I love your costume, goodbye. And that all lasts within 30 seconds of meeting your friend. And that's simply because they're busy and have to do something, or they've got a photo shoot, or you're busy and have to do something, or you've got a photo shoot. So you really don't get a lot of time to socialise at a big event, whereas at a smaller event, you do have that little bit of extra time where you can sit and talk with people and say, oh, I really love your costume. How did you get over this particular aspect of your costume? Or what was it that you did there that maybe you've tried to make the same costume and they've done something that you couldn't do, so you can pick their brains about it? Whereas at a big one, you wouldn't get.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Yeah, the big ones, as far as socializing with your friends, forget it. I went to the last one as Yondu on the Thursday, which I thought was just going to be a light day. This is the first day of the con. And I just went casually. Like, I thought I was just going to go there to shop and talk to my friends. I could not get my phone out because there was no other Yondu there that day, and I got bombarded. So I couldn't get my phone out with people just asking for a picture. So I couldn't even call my friends. They were looking for me. Finally, I had to go run into a corner. I couldn't even eat. People were stopping me as I was sitting down to eat. I just thought, and it was supposed to be a casual, I was just like, go as Yondu. No one will bother me. Been done many times. And,
never do that.
But yeah, unfortunately, that was no Yondu that day. So it turned out that I couldn't see my friends or anything. And you never know.
The funny thing was, I thought Elle was going to be a casual cosplay. I was so wrong.
You don't know. You don't know.
I had multiple people coming up for me for pictures. I mean, there was a guy dressed as Batman there, and he was wanting pictures, and he was doing the Christian Bale voice. Swear to me. And I'm like, dude, be careful of that, because you're going to screw up your throat, just like Christian Bale did. It's like,
you can shut it down for a little bit.
Like, you can shut it down to have a 2-minute conversation,
Yeah, I do. I find cosplayers, they're just always in character, and it kind of gives. It's like, okay, you could stop now.
Like, there's nobody around. You can have a breather,
Yeah. We're not shooting a movie here.
Yeah, there's no cameras. You're fine.
Yeah. I get it. Yeah. That's funny.
That's so weird. So when you're going to these particular events, what is the one thing that you're most excited for, and the one thing that either used to or still kind of is on some level the most nerve-wracking for you?
The most exciting thing I would have to say is seeing the new cosplays, I guess, and meeting new people. Like I said, you go there and wow, I've just met 50 new people that I didn't meet before. So that's always or you follow each other on Instagram and then you bump into each other. You're like, wow, this is weird now. We're in person on a person basis and not liking each other's pictures or whatnot. So that part.
I think that's like the strangest thing for me now when I'm at a Comic-Con and somebody says to me, "Are you on Instagram?" And I'm like, "Yes." And like the question is coming of, "Oh, what's your Instagram handle?" And you're like, "What is my Instagram handle?" Because I just go click, post, done. I don't have to think of what it's called.
If I went with my name, it was easier to remember.
I think I follow you on Instagram, so it is easier for me. Like, if I'm looking for anything that you've done, I can just go, Frank. It pops up immediately, and I'm like, yep, that's him.
Well, a lot of people get me mixed up with the other Frank Coraci, which is the director who directed Waterboy, Adam Sandler movie. They think that's the same guy, and they send me scripts.
Here's a script for a movie.
And I'm telling you, I'm not the same guy. I wish I was. I'd be a millionaire, but I'm not the same guy.
Do you know, it's so funny because a friend of mine has a similar issue. He shares a name with James Cameron.
Oh, wow.
And he actually has on one of his handles, not the guy that directed Titanic and Avatar.
That's a great idea. It's a little more popular.
I don't know whether he uses that handle still, but I loved that about his sense of humor. I was just like, okay, so obviously this guy has a great sense of humor to say, I'm not the guy who directed Avatar and Titanic. And whenever I see him, I'm like so tempted to just say to him, so has the Titanic sunk yet? Or are you lifting it up again?
Yeah, he must get it all the time, though.
He does. And the worst of it is, I think once or twice he's gotten it from his fiancée. Like, she'll say to him, she'll start singing My Heart Will Go On to him.
Oh.
Which I think is hilarious.
That's like torture. That's like torture.
It's not torture for him because she's a really good singer.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's so funny just the thought of it. Like, he's probably come home from work and she just immediately bursts into songs singing My Heart Will Go On to him. And I'm like, oh my God, I would just die of laughter.
All just because of the same name, it's like one little step.
So what would you say is one of the most nerve-wracking things for going to these events that you come across? It either can be something that you used to find nerve-wracking or still kind of do.
I would have to say getting the big ones is getting to them, I guess, trying to park, getting the costume to the event. I mean, when they're big, it's downtown Toronto. I'm sure, you're used to big cities, and trying to lug this big costume. I mean, when I went to Thanos, I had to walk through the streets, and most people, if you're not into comics, don't know. So they're just looking at you like, what is this thing, walking around, and I needed somebody to walk me to the Comic-Con for safety. So that was the nerve wrack. It's making a costume that you can't see in, and then trying to, as stress free as you can to get into the venue. They're not easy to get into as well. There's lineups and all these security gates and doorways and escalators. So
I think that's something that, while I understand it, maybe the Comic-Con officials need to start really assessing those kind of things a little bit better, because obviously with people who have big cosplays, like costumes and such likes, that are like your Thanoses, your Hulkbusters, your Wookiees, because I've seen, I'll get to this in a bit, but I know a guy who does a full-sized Wookiee.
Oh, nice.
And he only ever goes to one or two Comic-Cons a year in that particular outfit. And I would hate to know that he's having to stand 3, maybe 4 hours in a queue before actually getting into the hall.
Yeah. It's torture.
It is torture. So while I understand security measures for it, I think they really need to reassess that little aspect and say, right, is there anybody, like maybe have somebody walk down the queue and say, right, is there anybody with a big massive costume here that obviously needs to get in? It might be a little insulting to other people who have been waiting there for 3 hours and whose feet are tired.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
just got Jenna popping up there. So, hi Jenna. We'll continue after Jenna's little thing has disappeared. Right? Hello Jenna, you got your 5 minutes of fame. So, well, it might be a little insulting to other people who have been waiting there significantly longer. I'm sure if they're cosplayers, they would understand. Big, massive costume.
yeah,
You need to get them in, you know, because it's only fair.
yeah. And you know what? You're there to entertain, so I mean, you're part of almost the venue. I mean, it's not like there's 10 big costumes. Usually, there's only. Actually, I was the only one at the last one. So I mean, there's 1 or 2 maybe, right? So.
It's not that often that you get a big costume that is like that anyway. You know,
Yeah.
I think the biggest costume I've seen other than the Wookiee was, and I've only actually ever seen pictures of this actually, I haven't actually seen it in person, but one of my friends went to a con where they had Maleficent, or a Maleficent-like creature that had big massive wings and this long train of a dress, you know, and I always think it's fantastic when you have cosplayers that do that, because you can essentially cheat when you're having to walk the circuit of the con if you just follow that person. Everybody gets out of the way.
Oh yeah, they get scared.
Yeah, they're like, no, it's not so much they get scared, it's like they know this person needs a wide berth to move, you know. If you follow that person, you also get treated to that wide berth. That's one of the things I would do if I ever got the chance to go to New York Comic Con or any of the ones over in the States. I would just look for the person with the biggest cosplay and just walk behind them. Like wherever they went, I would go. You know? Well,
plus you can see better when you're in a high costume, so you can kind of look over the crowd.
It's like, there's space over there. That little circle bit over there. Moving in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, that's it. Actually, I found my Bane was the easiest. For some people, they were intimidated by that costume, and they would literally get out of the way. I could walk through a Comic-Con, and people think I don't know what they're thinking in their head, but they just kind of look at you and like, ugh, this Bane, I'm moving out of this way. I find I could just walk straight through, especially if I don't say anything, and I just...
If I ever do one in Canada and you're there, I'll just say, right, Frank, be Bane, I'll be this character. You walk that direction, I'll follow you.
Yeah, that's it. Well, you can do Harley, so we can do Suicide Squad, I guess.
That would Killer Croc and Harley.
Oh yeah, that's right. I was thinking about doing that one.
Oh, I actually have a friend who's done an amazing job. I'm going to name drop a cosplayer here. Titan Cosplay.
Nice.
He does an amazing Killer Croc. Like,
that's
so
awesome.
much prosthetic on it as well.
Wow.
And he's done Sabretooth, the animated version of Sabretooth.
Oh, wow. Nice.
So great, and such a nice guy. His video should be floating somewhere in this playlist, guys, so go check that one out after you've finished watching Frank's. But yeah, like, he's such an amazing cosplayer. Like, no offense to the people who did the Suicide Squad movie, but Killer Croc left something to be desired aesthetically for me.
Yeah.
But when I looked at Titan's Killer Croc, I was like, this is what should have been in the freaking movie.
Yeah, I think the movie, they rushed a few of the characters. Like Captain Boomerang was hardly in it. I mean, he was in it for 5 minutes. He said 3 lines, right? So I mean, they kind of rushed it, but
I'm not
a director, so
yeah, a lot of his scenes did actually get cut. So
yeah,
I can see why people would be like, he's not even in it that much. So moving on, hopefully. When you've been going to these particular events, have you taken part in the cosplay masquerades or cosplay competitions as they're called in the States? And if so, Did you win any of them?
Actually, I have not yet. And that's why I'm building what I'm building now, is that I'm finally going to throw my hat in the gauntlet. I was actually kind of intimidated before, and I didn't even know like what the contests were about or whatnot. Like I said, I'm kind of still
New to it.
I was new, yeah. So, and I was intimidated because I didn't know. I thought I'd being judged, but now I'm gonna
It's
give it a
definitely
go.
something that you should definitely do, because I remember the first Comic-Con I went to, I went and registered. And when they registered me, they said, okay, be here at this time and we'll get you entered into the Cosplay Masquerade. And I went along and did it, and I spoke to various people saying, okay, well, I've never done, what do I do? And they say, okay, what you do is you go up on stage, the announcer will say who you are and who you're dressed as, and you pose a total of 3 times with the judges, so 3 different poses, and then
Right.
if you want to, you can speak as the character, do a little skit, and then you walk off. And I was like, okay. So when I registered, the person said, do you want a microphone to do a skit? And I was like, no, I'm just going to pose. And they're like, okay, that's fine. Because you can obviously do both. You can
Right,
either,
right.
you can do the skit and pose, or you can just pose. And I selected to just pose because I couldn't figure out at that point in time how to do a male version of Arlene Sorkin's Harley.
Right, right. Yeah,
So this
that's
was me like putting myself in that box.
right, right.
To be fair to me, though, we didn't have Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn at that point, so
Okay.
I was kind of like only going off the Tara Strong, Arlene Sorkin animated Harley. So I was like, how do I do this? And I just couldn't figure it out. So I was like, nah. So I went up, queued in the line, was stood in front of a Lady Death from a video game, who was this kind of like big Viking queen type person, and 2 Disney princesses behind me, Belle and Beauty.
That's an eclectic group.
Yeah, and it was so weird because like Belle and Beauty were arguing over whose feet were more sore, because they're obviously in those kind of weird high heel shoes. And here's me sitting here, and I think I can just barely grab these. Shoes like this.
Yeah.
Because I thought that's the type of shoe that Harley would probably wear. And the Lady Death that I was telling you about, she's standing in front of me in 6 to 7 inch high heel shoes.
Wow.
And these 2 Disney princesses were like, no, my feet are sore. No, mine are sore. Mine are sore. No, mine are. Lady Death just turns around and says, excuse me? And they immediately went, and she just kind of went, I thought so.
You don't mess with Lady Death.
No, it's just like, excuse me, and she kind of like points out she's wearing 7 inch heels, and I'm like, yeah, her feet are sore. You 2 shut the F up.
Stop being princesses. That's
exactly. Belle would not be acting like this. Cinderella might, but whatever. But that was just so funny. And then later on, the 3 of them started complaining that they were hot.
Oh,
a
man.
mech suit Iron Man walks past, pops his like face helmet. The sweat is pouring off of him, and I'm like,
That's the part.
so earlier on, right? These princesses are bitching that their feet are sore, and Lady Death squashes that. This Iron Man just casually walks past, pops his helmet, as they're all complaining that they're warm, and squashes that.
Yeah. I guess it's tough to wear a Disney princess costume. I don't know. I'm not familiar.
I don't know. I suppose walking around in a ballroom dress all day long can get quite annoying after a time.
Yeah.
I would have thought that was a no-brainer outfit, but
Yeah.
who am I? Maybe they were sick and tired of getting kind of tripped up over their own feet.
I guess they've never walked around with full latex on their face and paint and
Definitely.
layers of costume.
What did they know? It's wearing a big fancy dress.
Sorry,
So
my cat's trying to hit the camera. All right,
that's fine.
enough. Yeah,
Um,
he's stopping. I'm just gonna get him. Hopefully he'll stop. Okay, there we go. There we go. He's distracting.
that's fine. So my advice to you, definitely go for it. It's a lot of fun. My second year I did the same con, and I did a different costume this time, and I did do a skit, but I forgot to pose. So the judges didn't get my posing, they got my skit, which they loved. But yeah, just remember to pose for the judges.
Well, there's a whole. It's almost like bodybuilding, right? It's like you gotta pose properly.
It's posing so that they can see your costume.
Okay.
So you have to choose certain poses that show off nearly next to all of your costume. Playing
okay.
doing obviously Harley was so much easier to pose because I could pose with my hammer, I could pose
Right.
with whatever other props I had, or without the props I could do a specific Harley type of pose. That's why we were kind of like saying when it comes to characters, you have to think of how you're going to act the cosplay, because you do need to pose at some point or another, whether that be for a set of judges or whether it's for, the cameras.
Right. Makes sense.
But definitely go in for it. It's so much more
Yeah.
fun. Also on that front, have you ever been asked to judge a cosplay competition?
I have been asked to judge, and I declined because a lot of my friends are in the contest, and I'm not gonna judge one over the other. And yeah, no, I definitely didn't want to do that. Maybe if I didn't know anybody, but
I would recommend. I would recommend going for that, because the plus side is, regardless of how many of your friends are in this competition, there should be 2 other judges with you.
Yeah, so they're usually 3, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not always on your own.
Right.
So if there's one particular friend's costume that you like more so than your other friends, you can always justify that to your friends by saying, well, there were 2 other people there who were also judging, so it's not my fault you didn't get picked and they did.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I was trying to avoid the drama. The cosplay drama is what we call it.
I totally get that. But that was an inside tip there about judging.
Yeah. If anybody doesn't know what cosplay drama is, get into cosplaying, you'll know. We're very dramatic. That's what we are. That's why we dress up. We're dramatic, right?
We can be dramatic, but
yes,
generally we're a warm, nice, welcoming community.
Yes, definitely. Best people ever at a Comic-Con. Nicest people ever.
Okay, so definitely go in for judging the next time you get offered. I would recommend doing that. I've never had the chance myself, but I would love to. Any cosplay officials that are watching this, contact Jai452 for judging. I will happily go and do it. I'm not as famous as some other cosplayers, but let's face it, I'm sitting here interviewing cosplayers, so I'm famous.
Ask him.
Famous.
Better.
Anywho, so moving along. In your opinion, what are the best and worst things that a new cosplayer can do when they're getting ready to go to an event, or even are at an event? So let's say 2 of the best things and 2 of the worst things. So let's start with the best things. In your opinion, what is one of the 2 of the best things that a new cosplayer can do when either at an event or getting ready to go to an event?
The 2 best things is, one I would suggest is picking the character that you like most. Because you're gonna have. The first time I did that, I had so much fun. Like I said, I went as Bane, and it was my first taste of it, and I didn't want to leave. It was 5 o'clock, and I couldn't stop. My muscles were hurting from flexing, and I've never broken so many Batman's backs and choked people. I literally was asked to choke people. Strangers asked me to choke them. I don't know why, but I had so much fun. So pick a character that you love. 1. Number 2, just go. I guess, I don't know. Just go with the flow and have a good time and meet people, take pictures. Go with an open mind and look for characters that you like, and you know, that's basically what it is. It's just go and have fun. That's all I go for, is just have fun. I meet people.
I'm going to throw in a slight cautionary thing with the taking pictures here, and this is something that you mentioned earlier. When it comes to taking pictures of cosplayers, guys, go and ask their permission, because there's nothing worse for a cosplayer than somebody just randomly taking pictures like over their shoulder at a cosplayer when a cosplayer is having a possible conversation with somebody, or is just generally walking along. That's pretty rude. Also, if a cosplayer is trying to eat or get their phone or have a personal moment, go up to them and say, hey, do you mind when you're done if I can get a picture? I mean, it's kind of common courtesy, guys, because you don't know what's going on in that person's life. Just because they're dressed as your favourite character doesn't necessarily mean to say that they're having a good day. You know, like, they might have gotten a call saying something has happened, you know, to a family member or a friend, and they might need to take care of that. Equally, if they're eating, they're eating.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like my picture getting taken when I'm eating.
No, especially when you're tired.
Yeah, not unless you want a middle finger floating around in your picture. You know, leave me alone when I'm eating, kind of thing.
Or Bane choking you out. You don't want Bane choking you.
No, you don't want Bane choking you out if he's trying to eat a hamburger and you're clicking. But the point we're making here is most cosplayers are very accommodating. If you ask, they will most likely say yes.
Yes.
But
that's what they're there for. Yeah.
Don't just go clicking. It's not fun. So two of the worst things that you would say is something that any new cosplayer can do when they're getting ready to go to an event or at an event. So we just kind of covered the whole don't click without asking rule. What are two other ones that you would outline and say, right, don't do these?
One thing is don't be critical of yourself. I guess that's what I was. I was overcritical. I actually almost didn't go inside that Comic-Con with the Bane costume on. I was like, I don't know if I want to wear this, or people care about Bane, and I would have probably not be here talking to you. I would probably not been cosplaying if I didn't put that costume on and go inside and people see people's reactions, because that's what it's about. You know, they love the character too, and you know, it's about mutual fun. You know, we're all fans. That's really what it is. You know, so don't be critical. You know, I was critical, and now I don't care. You know, I don't care attitude, because people aren't going to say anything negative. They're all very positive people at a Comic-Con for the most part.
I started off overly critical of myself.
Yeah.
And nowadays I'm just like, I don't care.
That's the best feeling ever.
I don't care.
It's like being a superpower is not having a care in the world.
It really is. Like, I think it's like, just on the overly critical of yourself, I think all cosplayers are overcritical of themselves when it comes to their costume making abilities. And especially when you're debuting a new cosplay, you know, you've got that new cosplay jitters. And I don't think that's something that ever really goes away. You just like, you worry whether it's good enough, you worry whether it's exactly how you want it, or exactly how you think people are going to react to it. And it can be devastating for a cosplayer who doesn't get the desired effect that they'd hoped for. But that's not to say that they don't get some form of impact, because generally they'll get home. I mean, I've known cosplayers who have cosplayed it, well, debuted a new cosplay and they didn't get the reaction they were hoping for at the con. And they came home quite defeated and upset, but as soon as you jump onto something like social media, they're like, oh, that's me, that's me, that's me.
Yeah, it's all, it's just a phobia. It's all really just in your head, because really,
exactly,
it never turns out as negative as you think, at all.
Never.
Like I said, should I put this Bane thing on? I don't know. And like I said, I went in there and I loved it. Like I said, I couldn't get enough. I wanted to wear that costume downtown Toronto, walk around, be Bane all day. I didn't want to take it off. So, I mean, it's all just a phobia. Just have fun. Like I said, people at Comic-Cons are the most positive people on the planet, right? They're super positive. That's one of the reasons why I got into it, is they're so nice.
Such a
They're
great energy
respectful,
as well.
very respectful of all cultures and everything, and there's no negativity,
Do you know
and that's what I like.
do you know the best of it? We normally get a couple of professional wrestlers that come to our Comic Cons, like some from the WWE, some
Yep,
from local wrestling promotions and such likes. And I always get attention from these types of people, and I don't know
yep,
what it is. Maybe they're Batman fans, or maybe they're
yeah, yeah,
whatever costume it is I'm doing that day type of fan. But I remember I was in that same queue that I was telling you about, and I was kind of like ducking my head out every so often to see if my cousin was about, because I was there with my cousin that day, and I had bags I wanted to give him before going on like set with the cosplay masquerade. So I kept going like this every so often to see if he was at the door, and I saw him, so I started towards the door, and I had to stop and let people through. And as I'm letting ordinary people, like other cosplayers through, oh fuck. Oh, sorry. I mean to swear.
no, it's okay. You have to beat that.
Oops. No, I don't have to beep it. It's my show.
Oh, okay.
It's my show.
Oh, okay.
I can leave it unbeeped. There was Hacksaw Jim Duggett
Oh, okay.
was there that day, right? And he came after this crowd of people, and he walked in, and he walked past me, and he smiled at me and gave me one of those kind of grandpa winks,
Yeah, yeah.
like a wink your grandfather would give you. And I'm like, you know, like complete gobsmacked shocked. And I run out towards my cousin and say, "Did you see that? Did you see that?" And he's like, "No, but do you mean Hacksaw Jim Duggett?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like, he smiled and winked at me, and he's like, "Get away!" And I'm like, "Seriously, dude? He gave me a grandpa wink." And that was the weirdest conversation I had that day. Like, I can only imagine how that looked and sounded to an ordinary person.
Yeah,
Seeing
yeah,
the
yeah.
Harley Quinn getting all weird out of shape that Hacksaw Jim Duggett grandpa winked them to an ordinary looking person. Only at Comic Con.
Should have went ho to him. I think that's what he does when he goes.
He
to con.
does, he does. I was so tempted to. I didn't want to like totally
Just give him back.
him.
Oh. Maybe you were in shock.
I was in shock essentially, but I didn't want to like tick him off because no doubt he'll have heard ho all day that day.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. Oh, I just did it now. I didn't think of that.
So
That's cool.
I
about
think me just
10,000
being stunned and in shock was good for both of us. You know?
And that's what it's about. Those little moments, eh? So.
Oh, the funnier thing was Robert Englund was also there that day. So Freddy Krueger himself.
Wow.
And I didn't choose to go and see any of the like on stage things the celebrities were doing that year. But I'm walking through the con, and all I hear over the tannoy is this like, "Now welcoming to the stage, Robert." Crowd erupts in this massive yeah. I jumped higher than anything else. Like, had I actually had like cat powers or something, I would have clung to the ceiling for dear life. Yeah, I jumped that high. And I was like, I honestly thought somebody had been killed the way that the scream went up. You know, it was such one of those kind of real holy crap, blood-curdling screams kind of thing. And then when he said Robert Englund, when the tannoy guy finished announcing the word England, I was like, that's why. So Robert Englund, if you're watching this, you scared the living shit out of me that day, or at least your name did.
Yeah. I think that's his job, though. Is it?
That's his job when he's Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
Oh, so weird that day. But moving along, what would be one other thing that you would consider something they shouldn't do when going to an event or at an event?
One other thing I would say is, I can't think of anything, to be honest. Don't spend too much money. No, that's not a.
Always a good thing to try and save money, especially if
Yeah,
you're a
that's
cosplayer.
something I've tried not to do. You get there and you get overwhelmed by the, swords or all kinds of stuff from your favorite characters, and you can come out of there broken, penniless from buying a bunch of stuff. You bring it home, and then it just builds and builds up with stuff. So maybe be more selective, I guess, when you first go. Maybe maybe think about it before you buy something, and then you bring it home and you're like, why did I buy this? I spent how much money on this? So maybe take a look around before you spend all your money. I guess that's the only other thing I could think of. It's not really a negative, I guess. It could be positive.
For me, I always tend to think, how am I going to get this home?
Yeah, that's
because especially if you're using like big props or your costume pieces are big, you have to calculate, one, how long I'm going to be carrying this thing that I'm buying around for, and that's generally 7 hours.
Yep.
2 is, how am I going to get it home? And then 3, when you've got it home, where am I going to put it?
Yeah, you just end up, and sometimes it ends up in a closet. So you're like, wow, I just bought this thing, and I never looked at it again.
It ends up in the closet for like 5 years, and then you pull it out of the closet one day, and you're like,
yep,
I bought this 5 years ago. Why the hell haven't I done anything with it?
Yeah, you come up with a sword, and you're like, wow, I don't even play this video game anymore. Why did I buy that? At the time I did, so I thought it'd be cool.
Yep. Okay, so while we're actually on the subject of things that we buy, let's talk props.
Yep.
Now, props for me... Sorry. I think your cat, Stu, has just literally taken over and is like, I'm the star of this video now.
I told you, he's not... He does this when you're at the most inappropriate time. I don't know if he does it on purpose, but... When I want to give him affection, he doesn't want it. It's usually when I'm busy, so I just, God love him.
I think he's like, you must pet me. Just give me a little pet,
Yeah, he's very, he's the prince of the house, so.
It's a gorgeous cat. Thumbs up for the cat, guys. Thumbs up for the cat.
There's two.
So, when we talk about props fall into 2 categories for me.
Yep.
It goes to a Comic-Con. It goes to a photo shoot.
Yep.
Photo shoot only, not at a con photo shoot.
Yep.
So, then they go into 3 subcategories, which is, oh my god, this prop is massively large and breaking my back, and I don't know how I'm going to transport it anywhere, let alone to a con or photo shoot. The prop is medium sized, it doesn't bother me, doesn't break my back, but after 7 hours it will start to annoy me. And then everyone's favourite prop, it's nice and small, it fits in my pocket, and I'm good to go.
Yep.
Obviously, depending on the type of costume you're doing, dictates which type of prop you do. But out of those 3 sizes, when you're going to a Comic-Con event, what one are you more inclined to take with you? Are you inclined to take the big size prop that breaks your back, the medium size prop that annoys you after 7 hours, or the it fits in my pocket and I'm good to go prop, nice and small?
Well, if I'm going to a small con, I try to keep the props to a minimal. Because like I said, you're socializing and stuff like that. And I'm not really there to, do anything spectacular. But if it's a big con, I don't care what it is. I'll tough it out. I made a big hammer for Ronan the Accuser. Mm-hmm. I made it oversized on purpose to get the effect. And I lugged that thing around all day. I didn't care, but I was tired. But I mean, if you have to, you have to for the effect, I guess. Even for Reinhardt, I'm going to have to make something big to carry around as well. It depends up to you. I mean, it's like I said, if you're just there to socialize in a shop, you don't want to lug this. It gets crowded, and you're bumping into people, and you get tired. Like you said, you're going to buy something, and then you're going to carry this prop. It becomes a pain in the neck. So He's not going to stop. I'm about to put him in a bedroom and lock him up, but I don't want to do that. So, but yeah, that's the only issue I have with prop. So, and the other thing is, don't get arrested. I almost got arrested for a prop. I was doing
Really?
Punisher. Yeah, I had 3 cop cars show up with their sirens on.
Because of the guns?
Yeah, I was taking pictures, and people thought I had real guns. And I guess this is a different time, you know, terrorists and stuff. And I thought, nah, they're not here for me. I mean, what kind of person would think I'm a terrorist? I mean, I'm like the worst. I'm wearing a big silly costume. Who would think that? But 3 cop cars show up with their sirens blazing and asking me 10,000 questions. And then I thought, well, I better be careful where you bring guns and swords and weapons.
Do you know what really ticked me off? I revamped my Suicide Squad look to look slightly more like Margot Robbie's one.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was working on, because I couldn't take my hammer with me, obviously because that's a big freaking hammer.
Yeah.
Well, it's not massively big, it's like a medium-sized version of Harley's hammer. But she doesn't use a hammer in the Suicide Squad. She either has her gun or she has the baseball bat. And I didn't have enough time to run out, sand down a baseball bat, and then refurbish it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to buy 2 toy guns for less than $1, paint them, and then just use them. So I was in the process. I painted the first coat on both of them. I did one black and one red. So I didn't go along the lines of the movie. And I just put like silly little things like pudding time on the gun, because I thought that's something that Harley would do. And right around that time, we had, I think it was, I can't remember whether it was San Diego Comic-Con or New York Comic-Con happening, when the incident with David Frank Jason happened, when the guy pulled a gun on him. Luckily, he was unharmed, but it then meant all props had to be authenticated by people at Comic-Cons. And I just thought it happened over in the States first, and I just thought this came at the worst possible time for me. So I contacted my friend and I said, okay, am I allowed toy guns? And she said, you might not be. And she said, just make sure that the toy gun obviously has the orange tip. Which I was smart enough not to paint over that anyway, because I knew anytime you take a gun in, you have to prove that it's a toy, so it's better to keep that orange tip or whatever colour it is. And what else I did was I covered the authentication kind of like mark on the toy with a label that I could easily pull back and say, right, there's the authentication like mark on the toy itself, proving that it is a toy. But I ended up not using those props. I think I used them for 2 photo shoots, like 2 pictures and 1 photo shoot, and that was it. I've never used them since. And that's simply because of all that kind of stuff that has happened. It's just, it makes working with those types of props very, very difficult, because you don't know when that kind of thing is going to happen, if it's going to be a okay scenario or not an okay scenario. It's very, very awkward.
Makes sense.
But yeah, there's other props that you can do there, like especially if it's something you buy at the con, because you never know when you're going to go be at a con and see something that you like. Like some people I know buy swords at the con that work with the costume they're doing. Or
weapon, even some authentic guns or whatnot. Like they have the authentic Harley guns from the movie, right? I mean, that's something you would pick up, right?
It could be. You never know. It could be something that you pick up. It might be something that you see while there, and just think, I might use that at some other con. So also when it comes to props, some people tend to make their own props, buy them in and customize them, or buy them in ready-made to look at look like what they need them to look like.
Right.
Which out of those three do you tend to do? Do you buy yours in and customize them, make them from scratch, or buy them in ready-made, or a combination of the three?
I do a combination, I guess you would say. If I don't feel like making the mask, then I'll order the mask. Like I did Deathstroke, I just ordered the mask and I made the rest.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I don't feel like making it. I just want to wear it and do it for photo shoots. So I just buy the whole costume. Like I'm waiting on a Black Panther. I ordered the mask, which is
awesome.
right there. So I didn't feel like making that one. I just want to enjoy wearing it. So it's either or. And there's a lot of costumes I can't buy. So you can't buy a Hulkbuster. You can't buy a Reinhardt. So those you're forced to make from scratch, either whether you want to or not. But I mean, as far as a lot of costumes, it depends how I feel. Like sometimes I bought Aquaman because I just felt like buying it. I didn't feel like. Sometimes I don't feel like making it. I just want to wear it and enjoy it. I mean, to be honest, I prefer enjoy wearing them than making them because that's really the fun part. Right? I'm going to be some people like enjoy making them more than wearing them. I guess I don't know. So yeah, I guess that's the idea.
Awesome. What has been one prop that has almost driven you to the brink of insanity?
The one prop that drove me nuts. I would have to say it's not really a prop. It was more the costume. I guess. Yeah, it was Ronan. I made Ronan the Accuser, and I made the headpiece, and it was driving me nuts on how it would stay. I made it out of foam. I didn't know to make it out of cloth, and it was just not sitting right at the Comic-Con, and everyone had to keep adjusting it for me, and it was sweating my head and digging into my body. It was just hurting me, I guess. But that was one of my first ones that I ever put together, and I learned my lesson the hard way. I mean, I still wore it. I toughed it out, even though it was making cuts in my body and scraping me. You kind of learn to make things a little more easier to wear, I guess. So,
when it comes to the making of the prop, has there been any prop that has driven you to almost the brink, like to the point where you're talking to the prop? And you're like, why are you not working? If you work, we'll be best friends.
Yeah.
If you don't work, I'm going to throw you out the window.
Yeah, actually, that's...
Okay, we're kind of slightly flipped here. I've got you...
Oh, sorry, my phone is off.
1 second, guys. We'll be right back. And we're back. So, just moving along, and I'm going to say to you about props in general. Like we were talking about, is there any particular prop that has literally driven you mad to the point where you're talking to an inanimate object?
There was the Thanos. When I first started the Thanos, I thought I'd start with the mask. So I made a clay version, and then I would make a latex mask. I thought it'd be simple enough. His face is not that difficult. So I sculpted out. I spent the day outside. And when I had it done, I took a picture of it. I was so proud of it. And I didn't realize clay sometimes falls apart. So literally the mouth fell off and then the nose. I got so angry that it was on a mannequin head. And I literally just kicked it down the ravine down my house at Vancouver. And it sat there decomposing for days. I ended up doing the mask with the 3D printer, but yeah, that was one time I just got angry because I just felt like I wasted a day sculpting this and then not realizing my inexperience with clay. And I just hoofed it down like by Thanos, and his head just went
clay,
and it sat there for days.
Clay is one thing that I have to admit I will never use when it comes to making props.
Yeah.
Or specifically for like facial props and such likes, because
I
know what clay's like. I know that it's prone to falling apart. I know that it goes through a stage where it's very powdery, depending on the type of clay that you're using. Air dried clay has to be like moisturized or moistened all the time when you're using it. Otherwise, it just hardens really quickly, and then it brittles and falls apart. So,
God bless the people who are good with it.
Yeah, if you're good with clay, more power to you. If not, then we know your pain.
Yeah.
However, I'm going to show off a prop here that I've made from scratch, which
Nice.
drove me insane. So, coincidentally, this kind of ties in with what I was saying about the Suicide Squad look. In addition to having guns, I had to have a secondary prop because I thought I can't just have guns. So I was looking for inspiration for Harley Quinn type things, and I was playing through Arkham Knight at the time.
Yeah.
And there's a specialized DLC level where you can play as Harley Quinn, and one of her little bundle of joy things is a Jack-in-the-Box.
Oh,
And I
nice.
thought that would be really, really practical because I could put things in the box, like business cards or anything like that for iGame, like these wonderful business cards.
Nice.
I can just set them in my box and pull them out as I need them. And then I thought, and if need be, I can shove my phone or my wallet in there and it's easy to get to. So, I went around hunting and got a cardboard box, painted it black, and then put red card on it, and dabbed it. Got a styrofoam head, well, a styrofoam ball, carved a face into it, painted it pure white, and then put kind of like Joker-esque makeup on it.
Yeah.
And then we ended up with something that looked a little like this.
Oh, cool. That is awesome.
This took a grand total of maybe 3 days to fully complete.
Nice.
And I'll pull them around to the other end here, as you can see.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And then the flip side, this would be the top when Jack's not in the box. Sorry, it's even upside down.
Okay, yeah.
As you can see, there is a doorway for Jack. So
Oh, nice.
When you're not using him, he
I
goes
never
into
thought it was
there.
cardboard.
It is an actual cardboard box.
Wow, I would have never thought.
So, literally all cardboard. And Jack is removable. If I don't want him on the top, I'd literally just pull out the pins on the inside of the box, and he fits inside the box. You know,
Oh, nice.
And he doesn't, oddly enough, take up too much room. You know? So I can, when he's in the box, I can still fit maybe a handful of business cards tucked in at the side. And
Oh, nice.
which is always handy.
Practical.
But this red part on his head was a nightmare because we couldn't figure out how we were going to glue it to the styrofoam.
Okay, yeah.
And because it's felt is a material that doesn't necessarily glue very well.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So we had to use multiple things, and at one point we decided, are we going to stitch it into the polystyrene itself?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I thought that wouldn't work because you would need a hook needle for that.
Right.
And I didn't have a hook needle at the time, and I didn't know anybody who did. So the only option I had was to glue it. And we had so many different styles of glue, because I went to my aunt at this point and said to her, I have no idea how I'm going to stitch this felt in or what I'm going to do with this felt. And she instructed me in a various set of ways, and she's like, well, you would really want to stitch in this part of it, just going round. And I'm like, well, wouldn't we need a hook needle? And she's like, I don't have hook needles. And I'm like, well, I don't have hook needles. I don't know anybody who does, so
Yeah.
glue. So I think it's a combination of super glue, crazy glue, double-sided tape, and a little bit of luck.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, all
That
to
is a
just
lot.
have one part of it stay securely on.
Yeah.
You know, and if I move it round to the back here, you probably will not be able to see this very well, but right around in there, like really deep in there, if anybody ever sees a little silver sparkle, it's because we've shoved pins in there to keep them on. It's like, nope, we're not gluing everything, we're just going to shove the pins in, and that will keep it.
At the end of the day, even duct tape if you had to. I mean, it is what it is. You don't want to also dwell on it, right? So, I mean, you spend hours on a little part. It's frustrating.
No duct tape required. We had pins and we used them. Even on his eyes, like you'll notice that there is a button for one of his eyes.
Yeah.
That's hat pins in there.
Well, he did survive a con, so I mean that's pretty good.
He did, and everybody loved him. Like when I debuted this particular prop, everyone flocked. And they're like, "I love that prop. Can I see the prop?" And I'm like,
"Careful."
Like you can see it. Like they're like, "Can I see it?" And I'm like, "No, you can see it."
Yeah.
You're not touching it. Like I wouldn't even let a judge touch this.
No, you never know what happened. Right? You never know. I've had that happen before. So
I'm just gonna put Jack down, and he's one of my props that I gladly display elsewhere in my room. So when people come in and they see it and they're like, "Why do you have a Jack in the Box in your room?" And I'm like, "Because I went through hell to try and make it."
I made that. That's me.
One other thing that I'm working on, and this is a sneak peek for everybody. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see my progression with this. But I am making another prop. Another Harley Quinn prop.
I can tell it's Harley Quinn from the diamond shapes. I can't tell what it is.
It's a nice little tube. This is just the little hint, I'll try and bring down some of the glare.
Is it a dynamite? I don't know what it is.
So that's a little sneak peek there. There'll be more of that. If you want to know how I'm getting on with that, guys, check out the Instagram page for Jai452 or at Jai at iGameOnline.net. I'll put a link to that in the description, guys, and you can check out what I'm kind of currently making. But I do believe, Frank, you've got some props there that we can have a little look at, and maybe you can take us through some of them. We've spoke obviously about your Black Panther helmet and outfit. I think I noticed a Hellboy hand and glove.
Yep, I made this for one of the Comic Cons. I wanted to do a Hellboy. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of just it's a two-piece, so the hand just kind of slips in. It's made of foam and a glove kind of thing. So
awesome.
It's part of the costume, and of course I did prosthetics for my face because I wanted to make it look like the actual character of Ron Perlman. Mm-hmm. For that, I ordered a caveman prosthetic and just painted it, put the sideburns, and that was it. And the horns I made at a 3D printer as well and put it on a bald cap. But yeah, this was just the first thing I built. That's how, if I finish this part, which is the most important, then I'll move on to the rest of the costume. Oops, sorry, buddy. And this one I just freehanded it. I just looked at pictures and just kind of freehanded. It wasn't very challenging, but it was still fun because I like the character so much. So yeah, little foam knife, a grinder to grind in all the little details and paint, and that was it. Yeah.
Awesome. So what kind of reaction do you get when you're doing Hellboy? Is that something that you find kind of interesting when it comes to those kind of bigger, larger-than-life characters?
I got a good reaction from it because, like I said, I used prosthetics and not a mask. So it was actually part of my face, and I guess Ron Perlman kind of looks like a caveman, so that's where I got the caveman prosthetic. So I actually had his facial features, the contacts, the hair, even the ponytail I did, and the horns. So I actually looked like the movie character. That was my goal. I just took a chance, to be honest with you. When I didn't know how it was going to turn out, I did it right before the con. So I rolled dice, I guess you would say, and it worked out. I had a great time. I even made the tail out of plumbing foam, so I had the tail sticking out. So, I mean, I love doing that character. I want to do it again. Unfortunately, I ruined the prosthetic by ripping it off my face because it was killing me. So I might have to order another one. But, yeah, no, I loved Hellboy. I liked, like I said, I like characters with a little edge to them for some reason. Like Hellboy, Ghost Rider, Punisher. I'm not, I like the other characters, but for some reason I like ones that are kind of dark, I guess I would say. So, I loved Hellboy. It was my favorite one.
So my next question for you is age differences. When I first started doing Comic-Con, or I got it into my head that I was going to do Comic-Con, I didn't really have much reference to go by because cosplaying and Comic-Con in general weren't really well known in the UK. Any sort of reference point I had was coming from the States and Canada. So I had to research as much as possible, and every time I looked at age differences in Comic-Con, I always got little young children who looked as if they were dressing up for Halloween. Mums and dads with young children, possibly going to a fancy dress party or going to doing Halloween yet again. And then when I finally started getting more Comic-Con-esque pictures, I noticed there seemed to be a quite an interesting demographic. It seemed to be, when it comes to certain ages, early to mid-teenage years to mid-30s. That seemed to be a very big demographic for Comic-Con in general, and I thought, thank God, because I fit that age group. Literally go up to somebody and say comic books, and then have them say comic books back to me, and then I can say comic books and not feel like a complete idiot. When you first started, did you have a similar mindset, or were you just like, it's Comic-Con, there's going to be tons of people here, so it won't really matter if I'm too young, too old, whatever?
To be honest with you, I didn't know what to expect, but the one thing I did find out when I got to a Comic-Con is, and this is the good part of a Comic-Con, is it's ageless, there's no discrimination. That's the one, like if the world was like a Comic-Con, there'd be no problems, because there'd be no prejudice, there'd be no bullying. I mean, Comic-Con is the ideal place. Like I said, nobody really says, hey, you're too old, you're too young, you're too this, you're too skinny, you're too whatever. I mean, I've never heard of it. And if you did, you'd be ostracized, I guess, because it's something foreign to a Comic-Con. I mean, it's the most accepting environment I've ever been in. And like I said, there's no age, from a 5-year-old to a 50-year-old. We all like Batman, you like Batman. There is no...
The scariest thing for me when it comes to age differences in Comic-Con is I literally have seen a baby, not even say maybe 2 months old, at a Comic-Con, and their mum has them dressed as a hobbit from the Lord of the Rings. Which is the cutest thing ever, because you just at that point there and then you're like, well, I can't win this Comic-Con convention for best cosplay. That child has already won. And I also tend to think that's genius on the part of the parent. Dress your child as a hobbit. Works for me. Equally, I've been to Comic-Cons where you have granddads doing the old man from Up for their grandchildren, and they're carrying around a shit ton of balloons, and you just think that is great grandparenting. I've seen Colonel Sanders from Kentucky Fried Chicken, an old guy dressed as Colonel Sanders, and he was the most popular one that day. So I mean, it's ageless, right? I mean, that's what
I said, everyone's a fan, right? So
my next question in relation to age is, when it comes to cosplays, do you use your own age to your advantage, or do you just tend to throw that out the window and say, well, I'm going to do this character, but I'm going to do my version of this character?
I do use my age to an advantage. So the characters I do are, like I said, the look, or the age. So I've always said this to a lot of people, I'll never do a Peter Parker Spider-Man, because he's always considered, a younger guy, or like out of high school, and I'm out of high school a long time ago, so I would never attempt to do that, but I would do, like I said, a Punisher or a Hellboy or a Batman or something like that. That's more, even Metal Gear Solid, or The Witcher, something like that I have the look for. That's one of the things I take advantage of, is if I look like the character, that's half the battle. So I don't try to. But I mean, that's up to me. That's not whatever you want. If somebody wants to be whatever, do it. Who cares? It's just my personal I try to, I like to look exactly like how the character is, which is limited, to be honest with you, because I got, a beard as well, so
I think
I don't like shit.
I think one of the fun things is when it comes to age differences in costumes in particular, you can sometimes use your age to your advantage.
Yeah.
But also you can sometimes use your talents to your advantage. I mean, we spoke a little bit about prosthetics. Prosthetics can do amazing things. They can either make you look a little bit younger than you actually,
Yep.
either a little bit or a lot bit younger than you are, or the same, going the opposite way. They can make you look older than you are. A lot of cosplayers over in the UK always tend to cosplay as a character from Doctor Who.
Oh, okay, yeah. That seems to be popular here too. Yeah.
It's well, I think the reason why it's popular over here is because, like, country of origin kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like what I was saying about the wrestlers. We always get a Doctor Who from whatever series kind of thing popping up at a Comic-Con somewhere. They just, like, as soon as they're finished with Doctor Who, they seem to just go into the touring of the con circuit.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, your time is finished on Doctor Who, you now do Comic-Cons for the rest of your life. And they're like, okay.
Hey, why not? Make a living, do it.
Exactly. I mean, celebrities get paid for going to the Comic-Con events, so why not?
Yeah, people love the... Why not?
But that kind of goes to show that there's always going to be somebody dressed as a doctor at a UK convention. I mean, I'm lucky if I go to one of these conventions and I don't bump into 5 different Doctor Who's at one event.
Yeah, that's
just like, I could say I'll go to a small local one.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky if I don't bump into 5. If I go to a big major one that happens like once a year, I'm lucky if I don't bump into 20 variations of things from Doctor Who.
Right.
The only things I don't really tend to see too much are the K9 unit, like the little robot dog.
Yeah.
And the Daleks. I've only ever seen 2 Daleks.
Wow. We have a crew that does one here in Canada, so we always see them at the con. Bunch of Daleks, but they're always together. They're kind of like the 501st. They're always at every con. There's big things. They kind of terrify me, to be honest with you. It was the first thing as a kid I got scared of, was watching Doctor Who.
I don't get, like, maybe it's because I'm desensitized to it, but I don't really get scared of Daleks anymore. Because, like, I look at them and I just think, why the hell is that bin on wheels got a plunger stuck in it?
Yeah. It's not a very practical death machine, like the Terminator's one.
Like, I'd literally run away from Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator thing when it's all metalled, or the second one, the one that turns into that gel, because I think the actor that plays him, I think his first name is Robert. No offense to the guy, but he's as creepy as hell. Yeah,
that was probably why they picked him. So he had that look.
He's like creepy as hell.
Yeah, he's more a practical death machine, I guess he would be scared of. Whereas the Dalek, if you go upstairs, you pretty much stumped him.
You can taunt the Dalek from up the stairs saying, "Ha, you can't get to me."
Yeah.
Come
stairs
and get it, Dalek. You've got stairs there, so you can.
Yeah. Find a flight of stairs.
It aims its plunger up at you and
find a hill. Anything incline or decline, I'm sure they have problems. They gotta always look for ramps, I guess. That's their
I shouldn't laugh at that.
Some thumbtacks on the floor. I mean, they're not very that. I guess you're right. They're not Arnold scary, I guess. So.
No. Okay, so one of my last questions for you is, what has cosplay opened up for you away from being in costume? Has it given you any sort of opportunities that you'd never really expected?
Well, I already told you the one thing is meeting people. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I can't even count how many people I interact with on Instagram or YouTube or at cons, and being recognized. That part's kind of fun too, where people come up to you and say, "Frank, is that?" Or they'll ask the person who's handling my costume, "Is that Frank? Is that Frank?" And it's a good feeling that that people say that appreciate your work, right? That you did it, and you say, "Oh wow, people like what I do." So that's one of the things, I guess. Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
That's fine. We were just kind of talking about opportunities that cosplay has opened up for you away
Yeah.
from being in
And
costume.
also, I got to be in I get to be in the YouTube video with yourself. I got the opportunity to act in one of Sean Ward, who's a big YouTuber as well. He does those comic skits, I guess. I got to be on one of his skits, things that I would have never got to do before Comic-Con. And I get to travel a little bit too. I'm going to be going to Ottawa and other parts, and I'm going to probably go to other parts of the United States. So experience other people, other places. Like I said, things I would have never did. I would have just stayed in my basement and played video games. So it opened up a whole world, and also a world of creativity. I mean, the reason why we get into cosplay is we get to create things and have fun and act like our favorite characters. Act like a 5-year-old. Like I said, you're basically acting like a 5-year-old in a costume, and that's it. Yeah, it opened up everything. So hopefully it opens up more. We'll see what comes.
So my next question for you, and it's my second to last question, which is, I'm going to ask you who you're going to be for your next 3 cosplays. So,
okay,
who you're going to be at your next con,
okay,
who you're working on right now, so like kind of halfway finished with making this kind of cosplay, and one cosplay that you're thinking about for either late 2018 or 2019. So, who are you going to be at your next con?
Well, that's a tricky question because it's all based on what I can finish and what I can put together, who I can get to paint my body or whatnot. So Hulkbuster was one, I already said. Reinhardt, I'm leaving probably because he's a big costume for Anime North. A lot of anime people there. So Hulkbuster, Reinhardt, obviously Black Panther, as I already said. I'm waiting on the costume, but he's more of a casual for photo shoots and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The other one I want to do again is Kratos, the new one, the new version.
Awesome.
Get it all painted up, grow my beard in a little better, make the costume a little better. I also plan on doing someone from Fantastic Beasts. I'm planning on someone from there. I'm also planning on doing someone from the X-Men, which is Beast as well. And I wouldn't mind, if I can pull it off, is do Drax the Destroyer again. But again, that's all based on if I can get somebody to help me the day before, the night of. So there's a lot of planning. But definitely Hulkbuster, Reinhardt, and Black Panther.
Awesome.
Those are my 3, yeah.
So, my last question for you before we do the Passover is, what advice would you give to somebody who is new to cosplaying but doesn't really know where to start?
Well, if you're new to cosplaying, I would probably follow guys like Cosplay Chris, and because they give great tutorials as well. They're not, this is mine, I don't tell you how to do it. Or even ask around. Make friends with a lot of cosplayers. A lot of ideas that come from a lot of other cosplayers. They'll say, Frank, you make a great this person and that person,
It's funny you should say that, because I've got a few ideas of cosplays that I don't know whether you've done yet.
Yeah.
That I think you would be absolutely perfect for, that I'll tell you off camera. But
Sure.
just to reiterate what Frank was saying there, guys, the cosplay community is so welcoming, as we've said. Like, a lot of people will give you various ideas, and they're very, very active on social media. So things like Facebook or Instagram or Tumblr, Twitter, whatever it is you use, you'll guarantee to find a cosplayer of some description on there, or a cosplay group. Most events you will go to will have a Facebook page, and you can contact people there saying, well, I'm not quite sure how to do this cosplay, or what do I do when it comes to this? And people will tell you, well, here's what you want to do, here's what you want to try. And obviously YouTube is there. You know, you're watching this interview hopefully on YouTube. Perfect place to look up tutorials for various things, like Frank mentioned, Cosplay Chris does tutorials. And we've got another person popping up for something, so we'll let that disappear. Obviously Cosplay Chris does tutorials on YouTube, and there are multiple other people that do tutorials for various things on YouTube. I think Cosplay Chris's girlfriend did a Catwoman mask tutorial on her channel, so things are easily found on there. If you need a specific tutorial helping hand thing, you can find it on YouTube or on the internet itself.
I do YouTube tutorials as well, so in case, and I also answer questions if people ask me on Instagram. I answer all questions: where I buy, how I make it, what's the best way to pursue it. I don't keep secrets, so.
Awesome. So with that being said, guys, that is the end of our interview. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up for both myself, Frank, and his lovely cat Stu. If you wish to have more cosplay content coming your way, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Hit the subscribe and the bell little notification for you for when new videos come out. I do as many cosplay videos as I can, as well as gaming videos and various other things, like a Behind the Mask series, which is brand new to the channel, so go and check them out. If for some strange reason though you cannot get enough of me, you can find me at this lovely website called iGameOnline.net, where we do have a Facebook page and a YouTube channel itself. You can catch us there and find out what we're up to, like myself, Whisper Green Top, Sally, Dark Lee, Honey Jade, Georgia Kitty, the lovely Faye. You can catch up what we're doing on there, follow our social media feeds as well. You can catch up with our... One second, guys.
Sorry about that, he flicked something.
So generally what we like to say is if you like tabletop, head along to the iGame and we will do our wonderful tabletop session with myself doing Dragonlance with the lovely Faye. That is live on her Twitch. If you're a fan of Twitch in general, you can watch the wonderful Whisper Green Top, who does various Let's Plays on Lord of the Rings. See what kind of craziness he gets into on a Monday and sometimes on a Tuesday. And see what Zelly and Lee are up to when they're streaming, as well as myself, because I do stream occasionally on Twitch. However, if cosplay is more your thing, then you might want to check out these guys on iGame, which is the NUK cosplayers, which consists of the wonderful Covey Kicks, Little Rascal, Chinafel, and the amazing Alphabeti Cosplay, who does fantastic Skyrim cosplays. And obviously the other cosplayers do amazing ones as well. But if you want more cosplay content, definitely stay tuned to this channel, guys. We have many more cosplayers to come in the future. However, if you have a question for myself or Frank, don't forget to, I think there's a comment section down there, Frank. Do you see that comment section? It's like down there.
Never noticed till you pointed it out, but yes, there is one there.
Oh, hello, comment section. Do put something down in the comment section, guys, and either myself or Frank will do our very best to respond to it. However, if you don't really feel that comfortable with putting in a comment section down on YouTube, which, why shouldn't you? It's just YouTube. We don't bite. Frank is going to give us some wonderful links where we can get in touch with him if we have any further questions. So, Frank, where can we get a hold of you if we have any further questions about cosplay, Comic-Cons, or even just want to generally say hello to you? So, where can we follow you if so?
Well, you can find me on Instagram at Frank_Coraci, or you can find me on YouTube as well under Frank Coraci. as well, or Facebook under Frank Coraci. And you can message me, ask me any questions you want. I get back to all cosplayers or fans or anybody else, whatever questions they have. I try best to answer them and help anybody out.
Now, we will say right here, guys, Stu the Cat, as far as I'm aware, does not have his own social media feeds.
Well, he should.
If you're going to be messaging Frank and saying, where can I see more of Stu the Cat? I think he's going to probably tell you can't. But who knows? Maybe he does.
Yeah, I'm not happy with him right now, so...
However, guys, don't worry if you missed any of those social media links from Frank. They will be in the description of this video. Please do go along and support Frank as much as you possibly can. He's an amazing cosplayer. And Stu the Cat is back. So...
Think of the devil. Yeah. The devil shall appear. There's a vein. Devil.
So, do go along and support Frank as much as you possibly can, guys, and we will be back really soon with another cosplay interview. I've been Jai452, Frank has been Frank, and Stu has been Stu. We'll see you again soon, guys. Bye.